Chapter 1, Fort Southbridge Garrison, Post Office. Eleanor Vance dialed the number. "Mom, I got into Seabrook University Medical School. I'll be home before classes start." "Isn't Gregory being transferred back to Northwood City soon? You said you were going with him to work at the big hospital there. Why the sudden change about going back to school?" Her mother, Margaret Vance, sounded shocked and confused. "I just suddenly realized. College is more important weight for me." After hanging up, Eleanor took a deep breath. She headed to the general store, using up all the ration coupons she'd saved over the years to stock up on food, supplies, and necessities. Gregory Ashton was indeed going back to Northwood City. But the one going with him to enjoy the good life wasn't her, Eleanor, but the woman hidden deep in his heart, Isabelle Moreau. "This time, heading back to Northwood City, I'll take Isabelle and Leo first," Gregory had said. "Isabelle has no parents, and her social standing isn't good. She urgently needs a proper job to get established. With her there, you won't have to worry about Leo's upbringing either. She's educated, went to university, she'll take good care of him." "Don't be so reluctant. You need to be more understanding, Eleanor. Isabelle has had a very hard time over the years. As the commander's wife, you need to be accommodating and look after her." With those words, be understanding. Be accommodating, her husband of 6 years was about to give away the prestigious hospital job meant for her, and the son she'd endured a day and night of labor to bear, all to Isabelle Moreau. But she was the commander's wife, the woman who had endured 6 harsh years with Gregory at the Fort Southbridge garrison, supporting him as he climbed from captain to commander. Her long, curled lashes trembled, hiding the bitterness in her eyes. Eleanor walked back towards the garrison residential area. Seeing the small red brick building in the distance, spotting a pale figure moving lightly in the yard, her steps home involuntarily slowed. It was during her 3rd year after being sent down to the countryside, while gathering medicinal herbs in the mountains, that she had accidentally saved Gregory Ashton, who was injured on a mission. Sent away at 15, having only completed half a year of high school, her formal education was limited. But coming from a family of doctors, she had inherited medical knowledge. Her first aid treatment for Gregory was perfect, successfully saving his leg. After Gregory recovered, he came to find her at her unit to repay her kindness. Only then did she learn his identity. A captain from the neighboring garrison. Tall, handsome, and grateful who could resist his charm. One thing led to another, and within just 6 months, Eleanor had given him her heart. After marrying, she moved with Gregory to the garrison. With his guarantee, she secured an official position as a doctor at the base clinic. As their son grew day by day and Gregory's rank climbed higher, her work also became smoother. She thought she could live happily and peacefully like this forever. But then, a year ago, Gregory returned from a mission and suddenly brought a woman back with him. He said Isabelle Moreau was the one who had saved his life. Eleanor believed him. The best fabrics, the largest share of food rations, rare meat supplies, whatever Isabelle needed, Eleanor gave without a second thought. Who knew that what Isabelle wanted more was Eleanor's job, her husband, and the future that belonged to her as the commander's wife? If Gregory hadn't been so blatantly biased, even willing to trade away the doctor position at Northwood City General Hospital just to get Isabelle an inconspicuous administrative job, Eleanor might never have discovered that Isabelle wasn't some savior, but Gregory's childhood sweetheart. Separated by the turbulent times, he had started searching for her as soon as he established himself in the military in his 20s. A woman he'd searched for 10 long years, how could he not cherish her, place her carefully and meticulously in his heart? It was just a job that came with his prestige. If he wanted to give it to Isabelle, what right did Eleanor have to object? Fortunately, luckily, Eleanor had never stopped studying all these years. Losing the Northwood City job, she could still rely on the college entrance exams to rightfully earn her way back to Seabrook City. Otherwise, she truly dreaded to think if her life would end up like countless others, unable to return to the city, buried in this place, waiting for a man who might never come back. A self-mocking curve touched her red lips. Eleanor quickened her pace. Just as she entered the yard, she saw Isabelle Moreau coming out of the house. Their eyes met. Isabelle smiled softly, holding up a black wallet. "We're out of sugar at home. Gregory wants to make braised pork ribs later and asked me to go buy some now. Since you're back, Eleanor, just wash up and get ready for dinner." Gregory is in a good mood today and made several of his specialties. You're in for a treat. Her tone was warm and bright, combined with the fact she was holding Gregory's wallet, which he rarely let out of his sight. If Eleanor hadn't lived in this small building for 6 years and known everything about it, she might almost think Isabelle was the lady of the house. Although she had already accepted the situation in her heart, it still hurt. Eleanor pressed her lips together and took out a bag of sugar from the basket she carried. As luck would have it, I went to town to pick up mail today and bought sugar. You don't need to make a special trip. As she handed over the sugar, she reached for Gregory's wallet. Isabelle sidestepped, avoiding her grasp. Looking up at Eleanor's slightly annoyed eyes, her gentle, bright face beamed with an innocent smile. Sorry, Ellie, I didn't mean to keep the wallet from you. It's just that I got it from Gregory, and you know how cautious he is. If he knew I just handed his wallet over to an outsider, he'd definitely be upset. Just as she finished speaking, the pitter-patter of footsteps was heard, and Leo Ashton skipped out from inside. Chapter 2, Leo. Eleanor quickly called out to him. Without her husband's support and affection, her son was her last hope. He was, after all, the child she had endured a day and night of labor to bring into the world. Even if she went to Seabrook City for university, she would still miss her son, miss the happy times from when he was learning to talk to when he could run and jump. But Leo didn't even look at her. He completely ignored her and walked straight to Isabelle Moreau. Miss Isabelle, let's hurry and buy the sugar. You have to buy the creamy caramels you promised me too. If we're late and Daddy changes his mind, I won't get any. Creamy caramels? Hadn't Leo gotten cavities? Hadn't she and Gregory agreed to limit Leo's sugar intake and not let him eat too much? Isabelle clearly knew this too and seemed intent on embarrassing Eleanor. Oh, your mother's back. How about I give the wallet back to your mom and let her take you? Leo seemed to only just notice Eleanor's presence. He glanced at her, then quickly looked away. No way, Miss Isabelle, Daddy only lets me buy them because you're taking me. Anyone else definitely wouldn't be allowed. Daddy said you'll be taking care of me when we get back to Northwood City. We need to spend lots of time together to bond. You mischievous imp, Isabelle said, smiling as she tapped Leo's forehead. Turning back to Eleanor, her eyes brimmed with threat and provocation. Sorry, Ellie, Leo only gets these sweets because I pleaded for him, so I can't give the wallet back to you just yet. Why are you talking so much to her? Leo tugged at Isabelle, squeezing past Eleanor. Eleanor stood frozen in place. After a long moment, she numbly stepped into the house. She saw the corner of a military green uniform just disappearing into the kitchen doorway, as if someone had been watching. Eleanor's already battered heart turned cold, inch by inch. Why did it still hurt? When Gregory chose to abandon her, she knew Isabelle was his rediscovered treasure, while she was just the wife he used to pass the time during the dreary garrison life. Perhaps in his heart, she wasn't even considered a wife, just a vessel to bear his child. And her son? Boys are like dogs, feed them and they leave. They naturally empathize with their fathers, not their mothers. That saying was certainly true. Otherwise, why would he be so fond of the woman his father adored? With a self-deprecating smile, Eleanor took the things she bought back to her room, carefully packing them into a trunk and locking it. She also carefully gathered and locked away existing useful items in the house that she hadn't yet given to Isabelle: food, fabric, and the like. After finishing, she returned to the living room. The last dish was just being placed on the table. Isabelle was setting out bowls and chopsticks, and Leo was washing his hands. What a warm, loving scene. Eleanor's appearance disrupted the harmony. Gregory wasn't pleased. What's wrong with you? You came back ages ago, knew I was cooking to celebrate today, yet you holed up in your room without a word. The moment the food's on the table, you appear. Are you deliberately trying to freeload? Eleanor glanced first at Gregory, then down at the food on the table. Spicy fish head stew, braised fish chunks, braised pork belly, spicy chicken stew, mushroom and egg drop soup, and simple greens. It was indeed a feast. But except for the soup and greens, all the substantial meat dishes were spicy. Eleanor's lips curled into a sarcastic smile. You worked hard cooking, yes, but are you sure you included me in tonight's celebration? Gregory's expression shifted slightly. What's gotten into you now? Do you have to spoil the mood right at this moment? Gregory Ashton, Eleanor looked at him coldly, her slightly reddened eyes fixed on his. Married for 6 years, I've had to make 2 versions of every dish at every meal. even stir-frying vegetables separately. But you can't even remember what I can eat, yet you accuse me of deliberately waiting for a free meal. Don't you find that utterly ridiculous? Gregory was speechless, his anger abruptly checked. I'm sorry, Ellie, Isabelle interjected smoothly. I forgot you can't eat spicy food. Leo and I are both from Northwood City, and Isabelle's tastes happen to match ours. We got carried away planning the menu and forgot you don't eat spicy things. How about you just make do for tonight? Or I can quickly stir-fry a couple more dishes. Whatever makes you happy, okay? Anything to make her happy. Eleanor's gaze swept briefly over Isabelle and Leo seated on either side, their tense and resentful expressions evident. At the small square table, they had tacitly placed her opposite Gregory, in the seat furthest from him. Eleanor knew she had to eat this meal, whether she could stomach it or not. It was infuriating, yet felt pointless. After all, in a short while, they would be heading to Northwood City, and she would be returning to Seabrook City for university. Soon, they probably wouldn't even have the chance to sit down for a meal together. She gave a slight, forced smile. No need to go to extra trouble. I'll just manage with this. Gregory breathed a silent sigh of relief. Leo's tense eyelids relaxed. During the lively dinner, Gregory and his son vied to walk Isabelle home. Eleanor paid them no mind, nor did she bother with the messy table. She went to bed early and slept soundly. The next morning, she went to the clinic for work as usual. As soon as she sat down, Wendy Evans, a junior nurse, sidled up to her. Eleanor, she whispered, using the more formal address now that they were colleagues. My brother said after you picked up your mail at the post office yesterday, you called your family right away, saying something about going back to Seabrook City. Are you not going to Northwood City with Commander Ashton? Have you decided to go back to Seabrook? Damn it. In her relief over the timely arrival of the university acceptance letter, she'd forgotten about that complication, forgotten Wendy's brother worked at the post office. Eleanor frowned, about to explain. Suddenly, the door opened, and Gregory Ashton strode in. What's this about returning to Seabrook City? Chapter 3. Isabelle Moreau followed behind him, her face pale. Leo walked protectively beside Isabelle, his small hand carefully supporting her. It was such an oddly comical trio. Before Eleanor could voice any objection, Leo spoke first. Mommy, Miss Isabelle accidentally fell while playing with me just now. As he spoke, his fair, delicate face contorted slightly with excessive worry. Miss Isabelle wouldn't have fallen, but she fell trying to protect me. Mommy, you have to treat her carefully, make sure she doesn't get a scar. She cares so much about her looks. A scar would make her really sad. So, Leo still remembered she was his mother, and knew that women get upset about scars. Eleanor's right hand, resting on the desk, instinctively rose to cover her left. There was a scar on her palm, over an inch long, from when Leo was playing with a knife recently and she tried to stop him. The newly sharpened blade had sliced across her palm. Her colleagues at the clinic said if it had been a fraction deeper, it might have caused permanent damage, preventing her from doing delicate work like suturing or surgery. And what was Leo doing at that moment? He was comforting Isabelle, who was crying tears of sympathy because he had almost hurt himself. A lump formed in Eleanor's throat, the urge to cry rising, but she suppressed it. Sit down first. Let me take a look. Gregory personally helped Isabelle sit down. He rolled up her pant leg, revealing a small scraped area, looking rather pitiful. In terms of severity, however, it wasn't even a tenth as bad as Eleanor's knife wound. Any mischievous child in the garrison who fell like that would probably just get some antiseptic applied and continue playing energetically. Eleanor understood immediately. She raised an eyebrow with a slight smile. Miss Moreau, after I apply the medication, will you be needing to take some time off to rest for a few days? Of course it's such a serious injury, of course she needs rest, Leo exclaimed loudly without thinking. Gregory sensed something amiss. His brow furrowed as he looked deeply at Eleanor. Are you still upset about last night? Yes, we decided on the menu together, but Isabelle only had suggestions. I made the final decision. Why are you blaming her? We kindly prepared a surprise for you, and now you're saying we did it wrong? Such a blatant, such kindness, smiling faintly, Eleanor shook her head. You misunderstand. I was just asking if Miss Moreau needed to take time off, and offering to write her a sick leave note. Although she's leaving for Northwood City soon, she can't just abandon her work here. If word got out, it would tarnish your reputation as a commander, wouldn't it? So magnanimous, so considerate. A strange feeling flickered in Gregory's heart. Is that really what you think? What else? Eleanor met his gaze. Didn't you say you'd find a suitable position for me and bring me over once things settled down? How could I be so unreasonable as to make a scene without even listening to your explanation? Gregory frowned, still feeling something wasn't right, but unable to pinpoint it. Only after Isabelle's wound was treated and she left, supported by Leo, did he quietly ask Eleanor, I heard you talking about returning to Seabrook City just now. What's that about? Are you like those others, asking your family to arrange a job for you back in the city? What are you thinking? The acceptance letter had just arrived, and the divorce wasn't finalized yet. He couldn't find out now. To avoid complications, Eleanor quickly denied it. As soon as the policy allowing people to return to the cities came out, my parents called. They said their jobs were reserved for my cousins. I can't go back, and there's no place for me. Have you forgotten? Gregory relaxed. Right, your family won't help you. Only I will look after you. He left after saying that. As soon as he was gone, Wendy pushed aside the curtain and came in, pressing a large apple into Eleanor's hand. Don't be sad, Eleanor. Have an apple, it's on me. Apples were a rare treat these days. How could Eleanor accept? I'm not sad, Wendy. I have hands, feet, and medical skills. I can support myself anywhere. Why should I be sad? Gregory thinks the same way. Isabelle's voice cut in. She hadn't left after all. Her feet, which had supposedly been aching moments ago, now carried her into the room with normal strides. Her gaze, tinged with pity, bore down on Eleanor. Her tone was harsh, each word deliberate. Gregory knows you're a lowly creature, easy to manage and resilient. That's why he gave the position at the Northwood City Military Hospital to me. After all, if I'm not by his side, he worries if I'm being bullied. But you'll manage just fine wherever you are. Eleanor clenched her fists. I've never seen someone so blatantly wrecking a military marriage and crowing about it so loudly. So what? As long as Gregory supports me, what does it matter if I destroy you, drive you out of the garrison? Isabelle advanced step by step, revealing her sharp fangs. Eleanor Vance, I advise you, if you want to live, just stay quietly in the garrison. Don't entertain any foolish ideas about following him. The position of the commander's wife isn't something you can just sit in whenever you please. Although Eleanor was determined to give up Gregory and return to Seabrook for university, it didn't mean she was willing to lose to Isabelle. I can't sit in it, but you can. The Ashton family is deeply rooted in Northwood City. There are plenty of eligible women with impeccable backgrounds eager to marry Gregory Ashton. You, in your 30s with nothing to your name, what capital do you have to gain the Ashton family's approval? Isabelle's eyes darkened for a moment, then quickly brightened. I gave the Ashton family their eldest son, and I'm about to bear their second child. Isn't that contribution enough for me to rightfully become Mrs. Ashton? Chapter 4. Eleanor's face changed. She suddenly realized why Gregory wanted to take Leo with him. He clearly loved Isabelle. He could have just taken Isabelle, which would have been much less trouble on the road. As for Leo, he could have dumped him entirely on her like when he was younger. After all, she couldn't possibly neglect her own son. So, besides forcing her to give up her job, Gregory had also cooked up the brilliant idea of putting their son under Isabelle's name. And she had foolishly worried that he would be dissatisfied or try to stop her if she wanted a divorce to attend university. Her stomach churned as if something inside was being violently stirred. Watching Eleanor's uncontrollable pain, Isabelle's red lips curved into a smile. Remember this pain. Will you dare compete with me again in the future? Long after Isabelle left, Eleanor finally managed to quell the nausea. During her lunch break, she found paper and pen and finalized the terms of the divorce agreement. In the afternoon, she left work early and delivered it to the division headquarters. She told a small lie. Gregory has decided to take Miss Moreau back to Northwood City first. However, the job position in Northwood is tailor-made for the commander's wife. So he needs to divorce me first, and then we'll remarry when I'm transferred there. He felt awkward handling this himself, so he asked me to do it for him. The news that Commander Ashton, a man from a prominent family with a promising future, was taking another woman back to his hometown instead of his wife upon transfer, might be unknown to the lower ranks, but the higher-ups were aware. The personnel at headquarters looked at her with sympathy. With the current wave of people returning to the cities, divorce has become quite a hot topic lately. Mrs. Ashton, are you sure you want a divorce at this time? Divorce isn't something you can fake. Once it's done, there's no turning back. I'm sure. Eleanor's gaze was gentle, full of innocence and naivety. Miss Moreau saved Gregory's life. As the commander's wife, I must show high moral character and support Gregory's work. Since the person involved said so, outsiders couldn't persuade her much further. They entered her divorce agreement into the system and instructed her to return in 2 days to sign and confirm. After expressing her sincere thanks, Eleanor turned and walked out. Before leaving the office, she heard someone behind her mutter, "If I remember correctly, Mrs. Ashton also saved Commander Ashton's life. If it weren't for her back then, the commander's leg would have been long gone." Hey, keep your voice down. Commander Ashton is capable and has powerful connections. Gossiping about him, do you want to get yourself killed? Eleanor heard it but pretended not to, walking home without pausing, her expression unchanged. Gregory wasn't home. He said he was busy with work due to the impending transfer and would disturb her if he came back late, so he was staying in his office. Leo was also happy not to be home. He had taken his change of clothes early, declaring he needed to take care of Isabelle and get used to living with her ahead of time. Eleanor enjoyed 2 days of peace and quiet alone, then received the freshly processed divorce report. She signed it on the spot. All that remained was Gregory's signature for the divorce to be official. From now on, they would go their separate ways. She could fly wherever she wanted, no longer needing to watch his expressions or wait for his pity. A sense of relief filled her heart. Eleanor carefully put the divorce report away and called Gregory home. "I'll make some hometown dishes this weekend, Gregory. Come back and let's have a good drink together. Once you and Leo leave for Northwood City, who knows when we'll be able to get together again with your busy work schedule." Gregory returned on time, bringing Leo and Isabelle with him. Seeing that Eleanor had bought a lot of groceries, Isabelle proactively offered, "Let me help you. Gregory often says your cooking is the best. I need to learn properly, so when you're not around later, I can cook for Gregory too, to console him in his longing for you." Leo pouted. "Miss Isabelle, why do you need to learn to cook? Does Daddy's cooking taste bad?" "Leo," Gregory reprimanded him quietly, just a couple of words, not harsh, certainly not rough. "You two get busy. I'll go see if there's any good wine left." The moment he left, Isabelle sidled up to Eleanor. "Eleanor, calling Gregory home at this time. Don't tell me you're also trying to get pregnant with a second child." Eleanor frowned, about to retort that she wasn't that desperate, using a child to achieve her goals. But Isabelle suddenly reached out towards the smoking wok of hot oil. Ah, with a sharp cry, the wok tumbled heavily from the stove, falling near Isabelle's feet. A few drops of hot oil splattered onto Isabelle's fair, delicate skin. "Isabelle, Miss Isabelle," 2 voices cried out simultaneously. 2 figures, one large and one small, rushed in like twin tornadoes from the same source, heading in the same direction. Seeing Isabelle's pained expression, tears welling in her eyes as she collapsed to the floor, Gregory anxiously scooped her up. "What happened?" Leo took her hand, heartbroken. Seeing the conspicuous blisters on her skin, he was so distressed he became incoherent, tears threatening to fall. "You just recovered from the injury a few days ago. How did you get hurt again? Miss Isabelle, why are you so unlucky?" Isabelle struggled uneasily in Gregory's arms, then explained softly after failing to break free, "It has nothing to do with Eleanor. It was my fault. I lost my footing and stumbled forward, bumping into the wok. Luckily, Eleanor pulled me back, otherwise my hair would have caught fire." How could a grown adult suddenly lose their footing and lunge forward like that? Gregory's furious gaze hardened. He looked at Eleanor's practical shoulder-length hair, then at Isabelle's long, glossy black tresses. His eyes darkened ominously. "We could say the incident the other day was an accident, but today can't be an accident too, can it? Eleanor Vance, if you're unhappy about me taking Isabelle, you can say so directly. There's no need to resort to these underhanded, vicious tricks to harm people." Chapter 5 Vicious? Gregory called her vicious. Did he know how fatal the word vicious could be to a doctor's career? Eleanor found it incredible. "Aren't you even going to listen to my side of the story? What else is there to say?" "What do you want to say?" Gregory's crimson eyes burned with fury. "I only trust my eyes, Eleanor Vance. And my eyes repeatedly tell me you harbor hostility towards Isabelle, you don't want her to be happy, and you don't trust me. With that, he lifted Isabelle and carried her towards the door. I'm taking her to the clinic. You'd better pray she's all right. Otherwise, the injuries she's suffered can't be offset by just giving up a job. Leo shot her a hateful glare and followed them out. Mommy, you're really vicious. I hate you too. I don't want such a hateful mommy, like father, like son spouting such nonsense at his own mother. Was this the educated woman Gregory claimed could raise Leo well? Eleanor blinked, trying hard to hold back the tears. She could barely remember the loving couple she and Gregory used to be before Isabelle appeared, or how smart and adorable Leo had been. How long had it been? Just 1 year, and Isabelle had effortlessly snatched away everything Eleanor had carefully nurtured for 6 years. It wasn't particularly funny, but Eleanor wanted to laugh. As she laughed, tears streamed down her face. Hot tears fell onto her arm, stinging with a burning sensation. Eleanor lowered her gaze. Through blurred, tear-filled eyes, she saw a wide, long burn mark on her wrist. Isabelle was truly ruthless. Wanting to stage a scene without hurting herself, she had thrown the iron wok in Eleanor's direction. And her husband, her son, neither believed her. Without even asking, they had readily condemned her. She wanted to go to the clinic for treatment, but going now meant running into Gregory and the others. That would only make her look more pathetic. Eleanor still had her pride. She didn't go, just treated it simply with a home remedy, made herself something to eat, and went to sleep. In the middle of the night, Gregory shook her awake. The lights were off. Through the cracks in the window, the cool moonlight filtered in. He glared at her, his eyes full of anger. I'm warning you, Eleanor Vance, this is the last time you maliciously scheme against and frame Isabelle. If there's a next time, we get a divorce. He could utter the word divorce so easily. It seemed the idea had been rehearsed in his mind countless times, just waiting for the right opportunity to force it upon her openly. Her heart no longer stirred for him, but it still ached. Is our marriage really worth less than your feelings for Isabelle Moreau? What exactly is her place in your heart? Gregory paused, seeming surprised by her reaction. I think you're the one being restless, suspecting everyone like this. Stop your wild suspicions, Eleanor Vance. Isabelle isn't like you. She's extremely strong-willed. If I didn't owe her, she wouldn't be willing to accept my help. He shoved her forcefully, sending her back onto the hard plank bed. Her wrist, treated with the home remedy, throbbed with pain from the impact, making her cry out softly. Can't even handle this little bit of pain, yet you dare to maliciously injure others. Gregory sneered, slamming the door as he left. From that day on, Gregory openly stayed away from home. He either shut himself in his office or, if he went out, only visited Isabelle. Although they tried to keep the matter of him taking Isabelle away a secret, there are no airtight walls in the world. Their intimacy was noticed by people in the garrison, sparking considerable gossip. Gregory was probably afraid of damaging Isabelle's reputation before leaving. When Mrs. Peterson from next door came knocking again, fishing for gossip, he returned. The man she hadn't seen for nearly half a month, dressed in uniform, was still as handsome as ever, but the words that came out of his mouth were chillingly cold. Did the rumors start with you? Why are you so loose-tongued? Does it make you feel better to maliciously slander her every day? Eleanor had intended to explain. She wasn't some shameless person. Even in divorce, she wanted a clean break. But looking at Gregory's furious face, radiating a desire to crush her, she suddenly lost the will to say another word. Yes, I am loose-tongued. What are you going to do about it? Divorce me? Gregory froze. His face changed abruptly. I remember warning you. Yes, you warned me. Eleanor blinked her large eyes, suddenly thinking of something, and changed her tack. Fine, if you want me to stop making trouble, sign a guarantee for me. Promise that after you go to Northwood City this time, you'll keep your distance from Isabelle Moreau, and promise you'll come back for me. Then I'll wait for you quietly, without crying or making a fuss, okay? Perhaps his desire to protect Isabelle was too strong, or perhaps Eleanor's request seemed too reasonable. Gregory considered for a moment, then reluctantly agreed to sign. Remember your promise, Eleanor Vance. If you dare cause trouble again, don't blame me for being harsh. Carefully placing the divorce report hidden beneath the guarantee back into the drawer, Eleanor said softly, It's getting late. I'm going to sleep. What about you? Going next door or? Gregory frowned again at her words, finding her attitude somewhat strange. Given her envy and jealousy towards Isabelle, shouldn't she be actively inviting him to stay, trying to hold on to his heart? In their past 6 years of marriage, because she came from a big city and was more open-minded in that respect, she had always been the initiator. Memories of many passionate nights flooded his mind. Gregory's sexy Adam's apple bobbed. Ellie, before he could finish, Eleanor crossed her arms, rejecting him. I'm on my period these couple of days. I don't sleep well. If you don't want to be disturbed in the middle of the night, you should sleep in Leo's room. Gregory's expression changed, the heat in his lower abdomen quickly receding. Fine, I understand. He left hastily, as if staying a second longer would mean being caught and forced to massage her belly. He left so quickly that he didn't even notice the room, which he hadn't properly looked at for nearly 20 days, felt strangely empty. Many items that should have been their malted milk powder, fabrics, the radio were gone. Even the bicycle bought, JUST, Chinese letter, was missing. Watching Gregory's retreating back as he fled, Eleanor's rosy lips curled into a mocking smile. He was about to fly off with Isabelle, yet he still entertained such thoughts about her. It seemed his loyalty to Isabelle wasn't that strong either. And though he had entertained those thoughts about her, just hearing the excuse of her period making her sleep restlessly sent him running. His feelings for her were even weaker. Unsure whether to pity herself or Isabelle, Eleanor counted 2 more days off the calendar. Tomorrow was the day Gregory was transferring back to Northwood City. Once he left, she could return to Seabrook City without any ties, back to the place where she grew up. Chapter 6, feeling particularly cheerful, Eleanor timed it perfectly and cooked a table full of dishes. She planned to have a proper farewell with Gregory and Leo when he came back to pick up his luggage. She waited from sunset until deep into the night, but Gregory didn't return. Eleanor's heart tightened, wondering what was wrong if he didn't even want to say goodbye. Just as she was thinking this, there was a sudden knock on the door of the small building. A young soldier, vaguely familiar but she couldn't quite place him, urged anxiously from outside the door. Commander Ashton was injured on a mission, it's serious, Mrs. Ashton, please go quickly. Forgetting to grab a flashlight, Eleanor hurriedly followed him. The night was too dark, the soldier's flashlight beam too dim. Stumbling along, she didn't even realize they weren't heading towards the clinic. By the time she sensed something was wrong, she had been led to a hillside. There were no hills in the garrison's residential area. Eleanor's face changed, and she stopped. Who are you? Where are you taking me? The soldier didn't speak, just pulled her forward. Eleanor refused to move. Amidst the standoff, in the darkness of the night, a woman's soft laughter suddenly rang out. Even claiming Gregory is seriously injured couldn't fool you. It seems your feelings for him aren't that deep after all. Clearly your feelings aren't deep, yet you pretend to be devoted, forcing him to sign guarantees and threatening him. Eleanor Vance, I really didn't realize you had such nerve. Isabelle. It was her. Eleanor's heart pounded wildly, a sense of foreboding washing over her. But it was too late. Isabelle caught up, gripping her tightly. There can only be one Mrs. Ashton. Eleanor Vance, tonight, either you die or I do. What are you trying to do? Eleanor, trapped between them, sounded terrified. Isabelle's face was expressionless as she shoved a large file folder into Eleanor's arms. I should be asking what you're trying to do, Eleanor Vance. Carrying so many things around late at night, where are you going? Eleanor looked down. The cover of the file folder clearly bore the words top secret. Her face paled, and she quickly threw the folder away, but it was too late. With a sharp command, the powerful beam of a large flashlight enveloped her. It's you! Eleanor Vance, the guarantee was just a stalling tactic. Your real goal was to destroy me. It was Gregory. Eleanor didn't understand exactly what had happened, but she knew the situation was definitely against her. She quickly denied it. No, Gregory, we're husband and wife. Your success is my success. How could I possibly destroy you? Gregory remained unmoved. If that's the case, why did you steal my transfer documents late at night and carry a flashlight? Wasn't it to ruin me, to stop me from leaving with Isabelle? The contents of this folder were Gregory's transfer documents. Realizing the gravity of the situation, Eleanor's hands began to tremble. It wasn't me, really. It wasn't me, believe me, don't slander me on such a serious matter, please. Caught red-handed, and you still won't admit it. Gregory gave her a deep look, then waved away her trembling hand as she reached out to him. "Since you're so unrepentant, lock her up. When you've reflected on your actions and paid the price for your mistakes, then you can come out." 3 days. These were the longest, most agonizing 3 days of Eleanor's life. No food, no water, no place to relieve herself. The winters in Southbridge were so cold, and she had rushed out upon hearing the news about Gregory, not even grabbing a thick coat, let alone a blanket. Damn it, there were so many ants, insects, and rats scurrying around, squeaking. Several times she thought she would be bitten, thought she would die in there. But she didn't die. She fainted multiple times, woke up multiple times, suffering endlessly in pain and helplessness, yet somehow she endured. "Have you thought it through?" The door finally opened. The man who was once so handsome, whom she had loved so deeply, now looked down at her, his eyes full of menace. "If you still haven't thought it through, I don't mind putting duty before family and letting you stay in here thinking for the rest of your life." Every bone of pride in Eleanor's body had long been broken. Though hatred boiled in her heart, she had no choice but to say calmly, "I know I was wrong. If you know you were wrong, go back and rest. Turn over a new leaf, start fresh." Satisfied with her answer, Gregory extended his hand to her. "Because of your actions, my transfer was delayed by 3 days. It's time to handle it now. Behave yourself. If you perform well, I will come back for you, Eleanor Vance." From "I will definitely come back for you" to "I will come back for you," an expected change. Eleanor's emotions remained relatively stable. Declining Gregory's offered hand, she returned home alone. She boiled water, washed away the exhaustion, ate something simple, and then went out. Although the young soldier had come urgently that night, it hadn't been extremely late. She didn't believe everyone had been asleep, nor did she believe everyone was happily celebrating Gregory's promotion without a single dissenting opinion privately. After some inquiries, she indeed found 2 witnesses willing to testify for her, and even received unexpected good news. Someone had seen Isabelle carrying a large bag, hurrying out of Gregory's office on the day of the incident. The evidence wasn't overwhelming, but it was enough to clear her name, implicate Isabelle and the soldier, and establish Gregory's guilt for arbitrary judgment and unlawful confinement. Eleanor placed all the collected evidence, along with the signed divorce report, into a large file folder. The night before Gregory's confirmed departure, she delivered it to the division headquarters. Afterward, she went to Gregory's office. Coincidentally, Isabelle and Leo were also there, like a family of 3, chatting and laughing about something. How wonderful the bond in this family was truly deep. She just wondered if they would remain just as trusting and supportive of each other when disaster struck. With a slight smile, Eleanor turned and left as if she had never been there, returning to her former home. Picking up her suitcase full of supplies and her still valid university acceptance letter, she resolutely walked out of the garrison where she had lived for 6 years, striding quickly towards the train station. Even from far away, she could seemingly still hear Isabelle's coquettish complaints, Leo's laughter, and Gregory's occasional magnetic interjections. Eleanor placed her hand over her heart. It didn't matter. It was just a piece of rotten flesh. Cutting it out was cutting it out. It didn't matter. In the distant Seabrook City, sunny prospects and a brilliant future awaited her. Chapter 7. As the train to Seabrook City departed, Gregory Ashton also concluded his final shift at the Fort Southbridge garrison. Taking his most important transfer documents, he prepared to meet up with Isabelle Moreau and Leo Ashton. Before he could leave his office, he heard a commotion outside. A squad of military police had appeared. "General Harrison requests your presence. Commander Ashton, please come with us." Their rigid attitude puzzled Gregory. "Hasn't the handover already been completed? Why summon me now?" The MPs didn't elaborate, their expressions remaining stern. "Commander Ashton will understand once he arrives." Gregory had been stationed here for many years, rising from an unknown soldier to the widely praised commander. While family connections played a part in his rapid promotion, his own abilities were undeniable. In this large garrison, apart from the respected general, everyone addressed him respectfully as Commander Ashton, showing him deference. It was rare for anyone to be as tight-lipped as these MPs now, unwilling to give even a hint of information. A sense of unease prickled him. He didn't know what had happened, but he knew it wasn't good. Gregory followed the MPs to General Harrison's office with a heavy heart. Pushing open the door, he saw the general sitting solemnly behind his desk, a large file folder placed before him. "General," Gregory saluted respectfully. "Ah, you're here." The general's demeanor was more serious than Gregory had expected, yet not overly so, tinged with a hint of hesitation. "You're scheduled to leave today, heading for Northwood City, correct?" Gregory was already anxious but answered patiently. "Yes, General, today. The vehicle is arranged, luggage packed and loaded. I'm just waiting to finalize the handover here before departing." General Harrison pondered for a moment, then pushed the file folder towards him. "Take a look at this first." Gregory took it, puzzled. He opened it and his eyes instantly turned red. "How is this possible? How could this be?" "Why impossible?" General Harrison stated calmly. "Gregory, you've served for many years, achieved countless merits. You should understand better than anyone that tangible evidence is far more important than empty, flattering words, shouldn't you?" Empty, flattering words referring to whom? Tangible evidence referring to whom? It didn't need spelling out. The implication was clear. Gregory's face paled, his dark eyes turning pitch black. His hand gripping the folder tightened involuntarily. Clearly, the contents of the folder, including Eleanor's evidence and the signed divorce report, were shocking revelations to him. None of it was something he could accept right now. The general himself was honestly surprised that such a seemingly gentle and weak woman, after suffering emotional setbacks, would falsely use Gregory's authority to file for divorce, and before leaving, manage to expose those who harmed her. What was done, further discussion was pointless. He sighed and advised, "Gregory, I have some connection with your father, General Ashton SR, so I feel compelled to remind you. No matter how unforgettable youthful affections are, they belong to youth. You are no longer just Miss Moreau's boyfriend. You are Leo's father, Comrade Vance's husband, your father's son, and the soon-to-be commander of the 1st Regiment. Are you sure you want to take this messy situation back to Northwood City, planting a potential bombshell in your own career and for the Ashton family?" Gregory pressed his lips together tightly, unable to speak. It was true that he and Isabelle had known each other since birth, living next door and spending over a decade together. It was also true that after reuniting, they had gotten along exceptionally well for the past year. It was also true that Eleanor, bearing the false accusation of sabotaging his transfer documents, had been confined by his own order, losing face throughout the garrison. If it was true that Isabelle had conspired with his own soldier to harm her, Eleanor must have felt incredibly wronged and must hate him deeply. Indeed, if she hadn't suffered to the extreme, why would she resolutely choose divorce? She had followed him at such a young age, loved him so much, stayed by his side dutifully for all these years, working, raising their child, taking care of his life, never uttering a single complaint. Such a sweet, docile woman unless forced to the absolute limit. Why would she choose divorce right when they were about to head to Northwood City for a better life? Her own family had supposedly abandoned her. Without him, she had nowhere else to go but stay in Fort Southbridge and live the hard life of an ordinary person. What comes easily is often not cherished. Sensing Gregory's thoughts, General Harrison sighed again, gathered the scattered documents, put them back in the folder, and handed it back to Gregory. "Take this, go back and think carefully. Is a stable family life with your wife and son more important, or the unfulfilled love of your youth? Decide quickly and let me know." Filled with conflicting emotions, Gregory carried the file home. Pushing open the door, he wasn't greeted by a heartbroken wife, but by a vast, silent emptiness. It was time for people to be getting off work. Why wasn't Eleanor home? Gregory froze for a moment, then quickened his pace into the rooms. Still no sign of Eleanor. The room, clean to the point of feeling bare, was unusually quiet today, cold and desolate as if uninhabited for a long time. Gregory paused, a bold thought suddenly striking him. Could it be that Eleanor had abandoned even her job and secretly run away? After all, she was willing to divorce him. Compared to their 6-year marriage, what was a mere job? Chapter 8. The moment this thought arose, Gregory shook his head violently, suppressing it. Impossible. Eleanor couldn't have just run off secretly. Her decision to divorce probably wasn't her true intention either. She likely just wanted to punish him, to get back at him for his neglect over the past year. He admitted that during the year Isabelle had been back, he had been busy compensating Isabelle and had neglected Eleanor. But Eleanor was his wife, the commander's wife, who owed her current comfortable and respectable life to him. Wasn't it normal to spend more time compensating Isabelle within the limited time available? Since it was normal, she couldn't possibly run away after the divorce. This was her home too. Even if they were truly divorced, where else could she go? During countless days when he was away on missions, she had always waited obediently at home for him. This time, she was just hurt and had secretly filed for divorce. Given her nature, she wouldn't do anything drastic. Once he cleaned up the mess and explained the situation clearly, he could surely coax her back. They still shared a child. She couldn't possibly hold a real grudge against him. Thinking this way, Gregory felt much better. Taking deep breaths to compose himself, he strode towards the base hospital. However, he was met with Wendy Evans' teasing tone. Well, Commander Ashton is here." Gregory was always perceptive. He understood the implication. Annoyed inwardly at Eleanor for spreading the news so quickly before anything was settled, he suppressed his anger outwardly. "Where is Eleanor Vance? Where is she?" Wendy found it amusing. "As Eleanor's husband, you don't know where she went." Gregory's brow furrowed deeply, his expression turning sullen. Seeing that he genuinely didn't know, Wendy's expression turned cold. "Apologies, I almost forgot. You and Eleanor are already divorced. You're the ex-husband now, not the husband." The undisguised sarcasm was a clear provocation to Gregory's temper. Gregory, always proud, lost his patience. "I'll ask one more time, where is Eleanor Vance? I've come personally to get her. If she still wants to play hard to get, she can just stay here and play all she wants." They were divorced, she had already left on a train, and he still thought she was playing hard to get. Eleanor was right. To someone who doesn't love you, even hanging yourself looks like playing with a rope. Wendy, not yet 20 and without even a serious boyfriend, suddenly found marriage terrifying. How could a man reject a wife who had lived with him for 6 years and borne him a son, for a green-eyed schemer who looked infuriating? If you truly feel sorry for Eleanor, then go to the train station as fast as you can. Maybe you can still catch a glimpse of her. If you don't find her at the station, then it means you too aren't fated. Whether you can see her again later is not something I can decide. As she spoke, she took a sip from her enamel mug, clearly indicating it was time for him to leave. Gregory's face turned cold. "I'm not joking with you, and I have no need to joke." Wendy put down her mug and turned her back completely. "I've said what I needed to say. As for what really happened this past year, how much Eleanor suffered, you can investigate yourself, Commander Ashton. With your abilities, if you truly want to find out, you certainly can. If you try and still can't find out, then don't bother looking for Eleanor anymore. You don't deserve her." In a daze, Gregory left the base hospital and went to Isabelle's place. Isabelle was already packed and ready. Even though they were about to travel, she wore a beautiful dress, light makeup, her long hair tied up. Her expressive eyes and alluring red lips showcased the mature beauty of a 30-year-old woman. Seeing Gregory enter alone, holding the file folder, she curved her lips into a soft smile. "Gregory, have you eaten? I just bought some bread and chocolate from the store. Would you like some? We should eat so we can leave early." Her unconcealed joy was evident. Gregory watched her and unconsciously recalled every departure before his missions during their 6 years of marriage with Eleanor. No matter how early, even if still half asleep, Eleanor would yawn and get up to make him a bowl of hot noodle soup. No matter how late, even after just putting their son to bed, Eleanor would use whatever ingredients were available in the kitchen to make him a proper meal, and even pack some for the road. These were small, unassuming details Gregory thought he had never paid attention to, or had long forgotten. Yet, seeing the dry bread and chocolate on the table, he couldn't help but remember the many warm and ordinary moments with Eleanor. He thought he could manage well without her, that taking her back to Northwood City sooner or later wouldn't make much difference. Only upon seeing this pile of bread did he suddenly realize he wasn't as capable of being without her as he imagined. "What's wrong, Gregory? Don't you want to eat this?" Isabelle, who had survived alone for 10 years in a chaotic society after her family's downfall, was no naive lotus flower. She immediately sensed Gregory's unease, realized her oversight, and quickly began explaining, "Sorry, Gregory, I didn't intentionally skip cooking. I was just busy saying goodbye to colleagues here, and then I accompanied Leo saying goodbye to his friends. You know kids, once they start playing, they forget the time. I'll go cook now. Leo isn't back yet anyway. I'll make dinner first, the three of us can eat, and then we'll leave, okay? Her gentle smile was as sincere and beautiful as could be, but Gregory reached out and interrupted this beautiful scene. I remember before you chose to come back to the garrison with me a year ago, I told you I was married, had a wife and child. All I could offer you was guilt and compensation. Once I settled you down, ensuring you lived a life free from material worries, my responsibility to you would be completely fulfilled. Then I could live my own life freely. Chapter 9. Isabelle's smile froze, a wave of indescribable panic washing over her. Why bring this up all of a sudden? Did Eleanor say something to you? She didn't say anything. Gregory suddenly laughed, his cool gaze fixed on Isabelle. Why do you ask that? Is it because you did something that you're afraid Eleanor mentioned to me? His icy tone was a stark contrast to his previous trust and affection. Isabelle froze. Although she didn't know exactly what had caused Gregory's change, her face instinctively tensed. What did I do? What are you talking about, Gregory? Even if you didn't like the food I prepared, you don't have to treat me like this. We're about to leave, and you're getting angry and arguing? Then we. Leave at a time like this. All you can think about is leaving. Gregory didn't hesitate, throwing the file folder in his hand directly at Isabelle. The hard edge of the folder grazed Isabelle's fair, delicate cheek, making her cry out in pain. In the past, Gregory would have been heartbroken, eager to rush her to the hospital. But now, seeing Isabelle clutching her face in pain, her bright eyes filled with resentful tears, Gregory somehow remembered the time Isabelle fell and scraped her knee. He recalled Eleanor's expression when he took Isabelle to the hospital then. Eleanor had said some unpleasant things at the time, and he had warned her. After his warning, she hadn't said much more. Her heart must have died then, unwilling to waste another word on him. A pang hit Gregory's nose. He suddenly felt regret. Over the past years, he never felt he treated Eleanor badly. From the title of Mrs. Ashton to the tangible benefits of being the commander's wife, her official job at the base hospital, his salary and allowances, he gave her everything he could. He never skimped like some comrades from poorer backgrounds, who planned how to pinch pennies to send money back home even before their pay arrived. He trusted her so much, giving her full control of the family finances. Yet only now, watching Isabelle and recalling Eleanor, did Gregory suddenly remember their first meeting when she saved him on the mountain. When they first met, she was just a crisp, fair-skinned young girl with 2 long, black braids. His heart ached. Looking at the sobbing Isabelle, he felt an inexplicable surge of annoyance. Out of respect for our past, I don't want to say harsh things. Confess yourself. Don't hide anything. When I find out, it won't be the same. His seriousness was unprecedented. No matter how coquettish or willful Isabelle was, she knew how to read the situation. Her face instantly fell. I don't know what you're talking about. Is it about taking me to Northwood City? If Eleanor is unhappy, She shouldn't be unhappy. Gregory picked up the fallen folder and handed it to Isabelle. I remember initially, I didn't plan to take you. It was you who said you hadn't been in Northwood City for so many years, didn't know the state of your family's old house or your parents' memorial tablets. My heart softened, and Gregory couldn't continue. Things had reached this point. While Isabelle's actions were a factor, wasn't he the one who made the final decision? If he had truly put Eleanor first, or even second, would she have divorced him without a word? A wave of sadness washed over him, sadness for Eleanor's unknown whereabouts, and sadness for his past failings. As his thoughts swirled, Isabelle finished reading the contents of the file. Her face turned deathly pale, unable to maintain even a semblance of a smile. Gregory, if I said this was a misunderstanding. Misunderstanding? Gregory gave a cold, self-mocking laugh. Isabelle's eyes reddened, and she burst into tears. Yes, I did it, all right, but wasn't everything I did for you. When you kissed me as a teenager, you said you'd marry me when we grew up, be good to me forever when my parents had their accident, and I was forced to the countryside. Where were you? 10 years I suffered for 10 whole years in a place without you. Unable to eat or sleep properly, my face became wrinkled, my fingers rough. Where were you? You were living happily ever after with Eleanor Vance, a stable, prestigious job, the position of Mrs. Ashton. Those should have been mine. Eleanor held on to them. constantly dreaming of going back to Northwood City. With you, I just used some small tricks to make her give up. Was I wrong? Where was I wrong? By the end, her tears flowed even more fiercely. Gregory's sense of right and wrong was shattered, but he couldn't possibly soften towards her now. Didn't I warn you from the beginning? I'm married. I only feel guilt towards you, compensation. Yes, that's what you said, but what did you do? Isabelle stopped crying and stood up, her emotions growing more agitated. The first moment you saw me, you took off your coat and put it on me on the way back to the garrison. You worried I'd be jolted and held me the whole way, afraid others would look down on me. You swallowed your pride to arrange a job for me, afraid I'd be lonely. You came to my dorm every few days. You told Eleanor to give me all the family supplies. You had Leo keep me company when you were going back to Northwood City. I just showed a little nostalgia and fear. And you didn't hesitate to swap Eleanor's spot for mine. You single-handedly fueled my ambition. And now you blame me for having it. Was it really my fault? Or is it that deep down, you actually love me, Gregory Ashton? No, he couldn't possibly love Isabelle. Eleanor was his wife. He came from a military family that valued tradition and duty above all. How could he be unfaithful to his marriage, abandoning everything within his grasp for a woman who wasn't his wife? He was just unsure if it was shame or anger. Gregory's body felt like it was on fire. His handsome face flushed crimson. He didn't want to stay with Isabelle any longer, but he couldn't just leave without addressing the situation. Gregory turned and ran. On the way, he encountered several wives who were friendly with Eleanor. They all said they hadn't seen her. His anxiety grew stronger. He got into the car originally intended for the trip to Northwood City and drove straight to the train station. Chapter 10. Unsurprisingly, Gregory arrived too late again. Using his authority as commander, he launched an investigation and indeed found Eleanor's travel records. She had bought a train ticket to Seabrook City half a month ago. The train she boarded had departed an hour earlier and was likely already at the next station by now. Seabrook City? How could it be Seabrook City? Hadn't her family abandoned her? How could she possibly return to Seabrook City alone, with no support? Belatedly, Gregory remembered the day he took Isabelle to the base hospital. When he returned, he overheard Eleanor and Wendy talking about Seabrook City. She had been vague at the time, and he hadn't pressed further. Thinking back now, her expression had clearly been one of anticipation, devoid of any sadness about being abandoned by her family. Could it be her family had secretly arranged a job for her after all? His brow twitched. Gregory quickly turned back. In his haste, the car hit a tree stump by the roadside. The impact against the steering wheel made him cough up blood, but he didn't dare stop. Rushing all the way back to the base hospital, Wendy saw his distressed state and laughed aloud. Figured everything out? Gregory clenched his blood-stained teeth. How has she really been lately? Just going back to Seabrook City like that? Did her family arrange a job for her? If she doesn't have a job, will they resent her? What if they resent her? It seems you still don't understand Eleanor well enough. Wendy raised an eyebrow. If you understood her, you'd know she's very confident, very determined. If her family couldn't provide a job, and her husband had one but wouldn't give it to her, she'd just take the college entrance exam herself. With her intelligence, what good university couldn't she get into? The only difference is whether someone holds her back, delaying her studies. Gregory fell completely silent, his eyes reddening, unable to make any sound other than a voiceless cry of grief. Yes, when they met, Eleanor was only 18. She had only attended one semester of high school before being sent to the countryside, lacking formal education, but she was incredibly smart. Not only did she manage to establish herself at the village clinic within 3 years of arriving, but after joining the base hospital, her performance was excellent, rivaling even those with formal training. She had worked diligently as an unlicensed garrison doctor for so many years. As soon as the college entrance exams were reinstated, she eagerly signed up, studying late into the night, only to fail twice. The first year was because of Leo. He fell sick just days before the exam, and she stayed up all night caring for him, exhausting herself. She ended up collapsing with a high fever before finishing the exam. The second year was likely because of him. He had been injured on a mission. Unwilling to trust others, she personally cared for him until he could get out of bed. Although she made it to the exam later, she didn't achieve good results, falling several points short of her dream, the Seabrook University Medical School. After 2 consecutive failures, Gregory had tacitly assumed Eleanor wouldn't make it. He never imagined that under the immense pressure from Isabelle, she would find the resolve and actually succeed. Was it because she was desperate to leave him, leave Leo, leave everything behind, that she could overcome any obstacle? Tears blurred Gregory's vision without him realizing. He wandered back home. Staring at the empty room, he finally noticed the small details he hadn't seen before. The flower pot on the windowsill, the pen holder on the desk, the clothes in the wardrobe, the books on the shelf, even the pillows on the bed, only one remained. She had personally erased every trace of her existence. She hated him so much she didn't want to leave even a single reminder behind. Gregory slammed his fist onto the bed frame in frustration. The loud noise made Leo, standing outside the door, tremble. "Daddy, what are you angry about now?" Miss Isabelle said she's not leaving, that she'll give her spot back to Mommy, and just the 3 of us will go. "Is that right?" Gregory's face darkened. He looked at Leo's small face, clearly frightened but trying to be brave. Always Miss Isabelle. His affection for Isabelle ran deep. Preferring the unrelated Isabelle over the mother who endured a day and night of labor to give birth to him, who raised him through thick and thin. Gregory's eyes turned crimson, his breathing heavy. "Wouldn't it be good for the 3 of us to go back to Northwood City? Your grandparents have wanted me to bring you and Mommy back for ages, to formally enter you and Mommy into the Ashton family records." But Leo hesitated. Gregory erupted. He snatched the pillow beside him and threw it forcefully. Simultaneously, he strode towards Leo, his large hands gripping the boy's shoulders like iron clamps. "But what? Why don't you want your mother with us? Is it because her cooking isn't good enough? Her laundry isn't clean enough? Or she doesn't take good enough care of you? She loves you so much everything she did was for you. She gradually let go of her pride, learning how to be a good mother. Why don't you love her? Why don't you even want to take her back to Northwood City?" His voice was deafeningly loud. Terrified, Leo burst into tears. "Daddy, you said it. You said Mommy was crude and uneducated, couldn't teach me properly. Told me to learn more from Miss Isabelle, take care of Miss Isabelle. I did everything you asked. Why? Was it really him? Had he, as a father, failed so badly, single-handedly causing all of this? Otherwise, why would both Isabelle and even a child like Leo say the same thing?" Gregory couldn't believe it, yet the tearful, blood-like words forced him to. The hands gripping Leo's shoulders dropped limply. His weak, clumsy body followed, collapsing onto the cold concrete floor. 2 lines of hot tears silently fell from his deep-set eyes. Chapter 11. Night deepened. Overwhelmed by grief, Gregory lay on the floor all night, refusing food, drink, or movement. Leo, unattended and uncared for, cried himself to sleep on the hard plank bed, without even a blanket pulled over him. Dawn broke, sunlight streaming brazenly in. Gregory splashed cold water on his face, regaining some alertness. Leo, however, wasn't so lucky. Unable to withstand the night's low temperatures, the young boy developed a fever, burning so high he nearly lost consciousness. The recovering Gregory frantically carried Leo towards the base hospital, watching the sleeping child on the IV drip. His flushed little face revealing the previous night's distress and unease, Gregory's mind inexplicably conjured the image of Eleanor huddled in the confinement cell. The cell was so small, the conditions so harsh, a place usually reserved for soldiers who committed grave errors. Eleanor had spent 3 nights alone in there. How had she endured it? What thoughts had crossed her mind then? Did she think of him, wonder if he would regret it, investigate, or come to save her? When the 3-day punishment ended, he went to fetch her. He asked if she had thought things through. She said she knew she was wrong, that it would never happen again. How had she managed to utter those words? I was wrong. Was her heart completely dead, her only thought to find evidence and drag them down with her? If she already had such intentions, why didn't she wait a little longer? Couldn't she spare him even a moment to speak? The more Gregory thought, the more unbearable the pain became. Boundless regret engulfed him like a tidal wave. 3 days passed, 3 days spent indoors. Leo's fever finally broke. Gregory himself looked haggard, bearded, and had lost significant weight. On the day he brought Leo home, General Harrison personally came to see him. Seeing the man with slightly graying temples, a Chinese letter face, bloodshot eyes looking years older overnight, no longer the spirited young officer from their last meeting. The general paused. His expression was grave. "Gregory, Northwood City has called, pressing for an answer. Are you still planning to go? When? If you can't leave soon, please give them a definite reply so they can make other arrangements." Northwood City? Gregory felt a momentary daze. If all this disaster stemmed from Northwood City, if the transfer quota hadn't been so limited, perhaps he and Eleanor wouldn't have reached this point. Then Gregory paused, then spoke softly. "Let the leadership test me a while longer. Once I've handled my family matters, truly learned how to be a man, then I'll consider promotion." The general was startled. "Gregory, are you sure?" "I'm sure." Gregory turned to look at Leo sleeping peacefully on the large bed, his expression calm, nodding seriously. "Please convey my apologies, General. Give the opportunity to go to Northwood City to a more suitable comrade. I am not yet worthy." After the general left, Gregory stared blankly for a while, then calmed down. His first act upon calming down was to hire someone to care for Leo. Leo was just over 5, a child, and recovering from a serious illness. Though the fever was gone, he still had a cough and needed careful attention from someone experienced with children. The temporarily hired help, though not as good as Eleanor, was far better than Isabelle. Given Gregory's current state of mind, allowing Isabelle near Leo again was unthinkable. Once Leo's care was arranged, Gregory interrogated the soldier who had been arrested days earlier but whom he hadn't had time to deal with. This was a soldier he had personally promoted. For such a major betrayal, Gregory expected a plausible reason. The interrogation results, however, were unexpectedly mundane. The soldier had no real excuse, other than feeling Gregory favored Isabelle more, treated her better, and believed investing in Isabelle offered a brighter future than investing in Eleanor. No matter how he probed, the core issue always seemed to circle back to himself. Gregory was furious but helpless. It was his fault. Why hadn't he maintained proper boundaries from the start, giving Isabelle, Eleanor, and everyone around him the wrong impression about his feelings? His emotions were incredibly complex, but there was no better solution. Gregory personally ordered the handling of the soldier, then applied for unpaid leave. He packed his bags, preparing to go to Seabrook City to see Eleanor. The news that the promising Commander Ashton had suddenly changed his mind. Staying in Fort Southbridge instead of going to Northwood City, and even taking unpaid leave, spread throughout the garrison like wildfire. Naturally, Isabelle, who was closely monitoring the situation, heard it. Isabelle waited several days without any further news from Gregory. When news finally came, it was this bombshell. She nearly went mad. Immediately setting aside past grievances, she sought him out. "Gregory, are you really sure about this?" "Yes, I'm sure." Looking at Isabelle's heartbroken face, Gregory felt a sense of satisfaction. "I don't plan on returning to Northwood City. Until Eleanor comes back, until she forgives me, I won't return to Northwood City." "You're crazy. Northwood City is the national center, the place where refined people belong. What's the point of staying in Southbridge? Do you think Eleanor will come back just because you stay here?" Isabelle shrieked, the disappointment of her dashed hopes making her completely forget her current situation, forget that she needed Gregory, not the other way around. Her sharp Chinese letter expression was utterly unbecoming. Yet Gregory strangely derived a perverse pleasure from it. "I'm not going back to Northwood City. The ones who should be most disappointed are Eleanor and Leo, who are directly involved." "Why are you disappointed? Is returning to Northwood City and becoming upper class again such a crucial matter for you? Is it that who you return with doesn't matter, only whether you can return at all?" Chapter 12. Isabelle's face changed, and she quickly tried to explain. "That's not what I meant, Gregory, I just—" "Enough," Gregory interrupted her, unthinkingly slapping away her outstretched hand. "While I may be soft-hearted about the past and confused in matters of emotion, I still have basic intelligence. Who do you see reflected in my eyes? And what do I see reflected only in yours? Did you really think I had no clue that I didn't know? Gregory." Isabelle panicked. Not returning to Northwood City was one thing. But if she lost Gregory's affection, or if he found out she didn't actually love him, only wanted to use him to regain her former status and seek revenge on past enemies, then she wouldn't even have the right to stay in Southbridge anymore. Watching Isabelle's eyes dart around rapidly, her mind clearly racing with calculations, Gregory's thin lips curled into a cold sneer. I suddenly remembered, Fort Southbridge recently introduced a new policy. Teach in a remote rural town for a few years, and you can get a permanent position upon return. Teaching in a remote town? No, Isabelle frantically shook her head, her eyes wide with terror. Compared to Northwood City, the former imperial capital, Southbridge was already rustic and remote enough. Not to mention the even more remote towns under its jurisdiction. And given Gregory's black and white, turn-on-a-dime personality, if she agreed to go to a remote town, would she ever have a chance to come back? If you don't want to go, that's fine too. Gregory's smile vanished. This position you have, I traded favors to get it for you. It's not stable. Now that my transfer back to Northwood City is unlikely, and I'm staying in Southbridge on standby leave, it's hard to say if others will still give me face. This. He was forcing her to either agree to go to the remote town or lose her current job. She had already lost her parents, her family. If she lost the job she depended on for survival, she truly didn't know what her next step would be. Isabelle was distraught, tears streaming down her face. Gregory, must you treat me this way? You and we've known each other since birth. For 30 whole years, Gregory paused slightly but didn't turn back. 30 years, and I still didn't recognize your fierce and vicious true nature. Consider me blind, Isabelle Moreau. Watching the tall figure who had pulled her out of the mire a year ago walk away step by step, Isabelle's legs gave out, and she collapsed to the ground. No, impossible. Gregory had always doted on her. How could he use such harsh words to describe her? How could he personally force her to go to a remote town with nothing? He must be upset about the Eleanor situation, deeply angered, temporarily irrational. She admitted she had been careless this time, underestimating Eleanor's spirit and methods. Next time. Once this incident gradually faded, Gregory would surely realize he didn't love Eleanor, couldn't possibly love her. The only woman he truly loved was her, could only be her. His humiliation, his anger, were just the result of the huge shock brought on by Eleanor's sudden divorce. A cold curve touched her red lips as Isabelle rapidly calculated in her mind how to help Gregory see reason quickly, let go quickly, and return to her side quickly. Having made his decision, Gregory didn't care what Isabelle thought. He quickened his pace towards the train station. His young wife, Eleanor Vance, was waiting for him in Seabrook City. It had been days. He wondered how she had been, if she was eating well, sleeping well, if she had enough money and coupons. He had to find her as soon as possible, tell her personally how sorry he was, tell her how much he loved her, how much he couldn't live without her during their 6 years of marriage. After a day and night on the train, Gregory arrived smoothly in Seabrook City. He transferred buses several times and finally stood at the entrance of Seabrook University. Through the iron gate, he looked at the diverse crowd inside. Their clothes might differ, but every face radiated confidence and aspiration, a vitality Gregory hadn't seen perhaps since his younger years. Involuntarily, a sense of inadequacy washed over him. Taking a deep breath to steady his emotions, he walked towards the gatekeeper's office. "Hello, I'm looking for someone." The dozing gatekeeper looked up at him. "Who are you looking for?" Blinking slightly, Gregory nodded. "My wife. Eleanor Vance, a first-year student at the medical school here." At this time, only 2 years after the college entrance exams were reinstated, not everyone fortunate enough to pass could continue their studies smoothly. Many students, especially women, were forced to drop out for various reasons after enrolling. Suspicion flickered in the gatekeeper's eyes. "What do you want with her?" "Just dropping something off for her." Gregory pointed to the large package beside him. "She left in a hurry and didn't bring many things. These past few days, I asked relatives and friends to gather some coupons and exchanged them for supplies to send over. I hope her university life can be a bit easier." Perhaps Gregory's words were too sincere, or perhaps his upright appearance didn't suggest ill intent. After a brief moment of thought, the gatekeeper actually called Eleanor Vance for him. After several days, finally seeing the woman he ignored when she was beside him and longed for after she left, Gregory's eyes grew hot, a strange sensation akin to tears welling up. "Long time no see. How have you been these past few days, Eleanor?" Chapter 13. Eleanor never dreamed Gregory would find her, track her down across thousands of miles to Seabrook City just days after she left. Before agreeing to see him, she hesitated, unsure how he would act. Would he ignore, hurt, and suppress her like before? Or would he berate her harshly for making a fuss over a small matter, divorcing him and running away? Eleanor didn't guess wildly. These were things Gregory had done before. In the short year Isabelle had been present, he had done many baffling things to her, said many baffling things. She had mentally prepared for countless scenarios, but she never expected that when they met, Gregory wouldn't reproach or humiliate her, only ask earnestly if she was okay. Honestly, she was surprised. But surprised as she was, she wouldn't be moved by it anymore. All her hopes for Gregory and Leo for that past marriage had been shattered by her own hand the moment she stepped onto the train, scattered across the land of Southbridge. Quite well. Eleanor curved her lips, a smile brighter than ever before gracing her face. It's been 6 years, and I've never felt as good as I do now. If I had known divorcing could bring me so much freedom and joy, perhaps I would have divorced you the day you brought Isabelle Moreau home, instead of waiting a year, until Isabelle herself told me she was your first love, before choosing divorce out of desperation. The word divorce fell from her lips so easily, as simple as eating or drinking. Incredulous, Gregory's mind buzzed, his voice trembling slightly. Don't be like this, Eleanor. Don't treat me like this. I was wrong. I know I was wrong. Sarcasm flickered in Eleanor's eyes. When you called right in front of me, using the attending physician position at Northwood City Hospital that originally belonged to me to trade for the simplest administrative job for Isabelle Moreau, I also begged you, don't do this, don't treat me like this. What did you say then? Gregory flushed, speechless. At that time, he had been extremely impatient, using her sense of duty to force her compliance, not even offering a single word of comfort or reassurance. Seeing his reaction, knowing he still had some shame, Eleanor narrowed her eyes mockingly. Since you know full well, why come all this way to find me? Did I not make myself clear enough? Or is it just in your nature to be this pathetic when I chased you, adored you, listened to everything you said, you couldn't care less? But now that I've turned around to live my own life and don't want you anymore, you've miraculously discovered my good qualities. Miraculously, the word was indeed apt. He was acting miraculously right now. Gregory pressed his lips together, brazenly insisting, I admit everything that happened in the past, I don't deny it. I only ask, Eleanor, give me one more chance. Sit down and listen to me, let me explain everything clearly, please. Explain? Eleanor took a step back, quickly slipping through the inner door of the gatehouse, retreating behind the iron bars into the campus. Her cool phoenix eyes assessed the grieving man through the gaps in the railings. What's done is done. I've learned my lesson, and you've paid a price. I don't think there's anything left for you to explain now. Even if there were some hidden reasons, there's no need to explain. Because I've tasted freedom, I can never turn back. I can't turn back for a worthless, broken life that fundamentally wasn't worth it. Even though he knew Eleanor had suffered enough to leave, Gregory was still hurt hearing her describe their marriage as a worthless, broken life. Eleanor! His eyes instantly reddened, his crestfallen expression lacking the former determination. I know you're very angry right now. I don't expect you to stop being angry and forgive me immediately. I just hope you can be well, enjoy university life happily and freely, don't. Then leave, Eleanor suddenly cut him off. Not seeing you makes me relaxed and happy. The moment I see you, all my past resentment surfaces. Are you sure you came all this way just to remind me how much I suffered at your hands? Like a small bone stuck in his throat, unable to go up or down. Gregory's handsome face tensed. He looked deeply at Eleanor, opening his mouth several times, only to swallow the words back down. What more could he say? She had spoken so harshly. If he said anything more, it would be tactless, deliberately deepening her pain. That went against his original intention, because fundamentally, he wanted her to be well. If she still loved him, that would be best, of course. Bitterness filled his throat. Gregory watched helplessly as Eleanor walked away. Before leaving, she didn't forget to instruct the gatekeeper not to call her for him anymore, nor let him in. Cut off, Gregory couldn't enter the campus without using force, and he couldn't bear to leave just yet. He checked into a guest house across the street from the university, waiting day after day, hoping. A few days passed. This Saturday evening, As Gregory loitered near the university entrance, he suddenly saw a familiar figure. Gregory froze, quickly straightened his clothes, and walked over. Before he could get close, he saw a middle-aged couple dressed stylishly, and a younger, taller, handsome man get out of a small car parked by the roadside. An instinctive feeling arose. Gregory stopped in his tracks. Sure enough, he saw Eleanor's face beaming with a smile as she rushed out of the university gate towards the three people. Chapter 14, Arthur Catherine. Eleanor sounded excited. Her eyes full of smiles, a simple, pure smile Gregory hadn't seen on her during their 6 years of marriage. So in front of her real family, she could also be relaxed, playful, almost childlike. So her family hadn't ignored her as he had imagined. Gregory felt deep regret, regretting his past carelessness. How could he have assumed Eleanor had nowhere else to go and not treated her better? What happened had happened. Regret was useless. Gregory cleared his throat softly and started walking again, intending to approach them and finally have the meeting with her family that should have happened years ago. However, before he could react, he saw the middle-aged man who resembled Eleanor, somewhat her brother, Arthur Vance Jr., pulling the tall, handsome young man forward. "This is Simon Rockwell. You remember Simon, right? From the alley next to our house, you two used to be great friends. The day you decided to go to the countryside, he even came to see you off with all his saved pocket money, but he ran too fast, got hit by a car, and missed seeing you one last time." The voice wasn't soft. Across half the street, it reached Gregory's ears clearly. Gregory's face changed, a bad feeling rising instantly. He quickened his pace, trying to catch up, but whether by coincidence or intentionally, just as he started to speed up, Arthur Jr. had already pulled Eleanor into the car. The other two quickly followed. Simon Rockwell, the last one in, glanced towards Gregory before closing the door. Their eyes met. The wariness was palpable. Gregory's heart pounded. Forgetting about propriety, he called out Eleanor's name. But again, he was too late. The car window rolled up smoothly the moment he opened his mouth. His unfinished name was cruelly cut off, forced to dissipate in the wind. Unprecedented humiliation. Fury surged in Gregory's eyes. The rolling wheels showed no mercy for his anger, cruelly carrying Eleanor, whom he had waited days to finally see far away. On the street, Gregory stood alone, his eyes red. Inside the car, however, was a scene of cheerful laughter. Catherine Vance, sitting next to Eleanor in the back seat, patted Eleanor's hand happily. "Ellie, did you know? The first time you called home saying you got into university and were coming back soon, Simon was overjoyed. He even came to me specifically for advice and prepared lots of gifts for you. It's just that things got complicated for you, and your return was delayed a few days. Simon's university happened to schedule him for an unavoidable business trip out of town, so he had to go. His timing just missed yours, which is why Simon wasn't with us to pick you up the day your train arrived. Just a childhood playmate. Separated for so many years, the affection must have faded." Eleanor couldn't even rely on Gregory, let alone have high expectations for a playmate. "It's okay. I'll be studying in Seabrook City now, we're all here. If fate allows, we'll meet again. Missing one pickup doesn't matter." Sensing the hesitation and withdrawal in her words, Catherine encouraged her. "Fate? Oh, it's definitely fate. Simon teaches at the university right next to Seabrook University. Whenever you have free time during breaks, meeting up couldn't be more convenient. More convenient than going home." Even Eleanor paused, instinctively looking up at Catherine, meeting a pair of eyes blinking rapidly, as if trying to convey something. She froze, then looked blankly at the subject of the conversation, Simon Rockwell. And then, through his clear black and white pupils, she saw the deep affection hidden in the quiet depths of his eyes. Eleanor wasn't a young girl anymore. Such a look was certainly familiar. When she first met Gregory, first married him and moved to the garrison, first achieved success at the base hospital and earned praise from leaders, he had looked at her like that too. He must have admired her greatly then, thought she was amazing, so young, not formally trained, yet so skilled in medicine, able to save his life and the lives of others. When did his passion for her begin to fade? Was it because of Isabelle's arrival? Or even before that, had the novelty worn off? Had he stopped cherishing, loving, and protecting her as he did during their newlywed days? Thinking of the past, Eleanor felt a familiar sting in her nose. Her eyes reddened slightly. Simon noticed and handed her a small oil paper package of pastries. I bought these crab roe tarts at the alley entrance before leaving. Are you hungry? Maybe eat one now to tide you over? Crab roe tarts, they used to be Eleanor's favorite snack. Years ago, before her family's troubles when she was still in school, she would often secretly save the pocket money her parents gave her to buy snacks. She was young then, pocket money limited. It took a long time to save enough for just a little. To eat them more often and eat more, she would pool money with Simon, buying together and sharing. But every time they shared, he would find excuses to take less, either saying he didn't like them or wasn't feeling well and couldn't eat. As a child, she didn't understand and often just ate what he gave her. Later, as she grew older, she gradually understood. Understood that he didn't dislike them, wasn't unable to eat them, he simply wanted her to have more, worried that if he ate too much, she wouldn't have enough. Her eyes stung even more fiercely. Eleanor waved her hand, refusing the pastry that represented a bygone era. Thank you, but I'm not hungry. I won't have any. Chapter 15, Simon's hand holding the pastries trembled slightly. Even if you're not hungry, you can take them. Eat them slowly later back at school. Really, I don't need them. Eleanor refused again, her gaze firm. Simon reluctantly took the pastries back, not insisting further. No rush. Eleanor had just returned. There was plenty of time. He had plenty of patience. No rush at all. As they talked, the car arrived at a well-known Seabrook City restaurant where both families had dined together before the upheavals years ago. So many years had passed, but the restaurant looked much the same. The exterior hadn't changed much, while the interior had undergone simple renovations, making it not drastically different from before, though subtle changes were visible upon closer inspection. Just like Eleanor now. Still young and beautiful, exuding an air of scholarly refinement, yet an undeniable maturity and sense of brokenness clung to her, evoking sighs and sympathy. This was the bitter fruit harvested from leaving at 15, spending 9 years alone in a foreign place, enduring countless hardships. Arthur Jr. felt quite uncomfortable. He quickly pushed the menu towards Eleanor. Ellie, take a look. What would you like to eat? All these years alone in Southbridge, you've really suffered. I haven't suffered. Mom and Dad taught me medicine since I was young. I have skills to support myself. I managed quite well on my own, Eleanor said, forcing a smile, trying to appear relaxed and carefree. However, no matter how high her lips curved, how wide her smile, what Arthur Jr. saw was only her slightly determined face and skin that, despite efforts to recover after marriage, never quite regained its youthful glow. This was proof of the hardships she had endured, requiring significant time for rest and recovery. Arthur Jr. felt pained. It should have been me who went to the countryside back then. If your sister-in-law, Catherine, hadn't been pregnant at the time, if I hadn't been reluctant to let her, and the baby suffer, you wouldn't have secretly signed up, running off to the countryside alone at just 15. All right, it's all in the past. Let's not talk about it. Let's eat. Eleanor didn't want to dwell on unhappy memories. Arthur Jr. obediently dropped the subject, joining Catherine in constantly piling food onto Eleanor's plate. After dinner, Catherine suggested visiting a newly opened department store nearby that stocked beautiful clothes and dresses rarely seen outside of international cities. She wanted to take Eleanor to browse. Arthur Jr. and Simon Rockwell escorted them, buying a large pile of food and necessities. Seeing Eleanor transformed in a new dress, her face glowing with renewed beauty, the corners of her eyes lifted, radiating youthful charm, Arthur Jr. and Catherine EXCH, a NGED Chinese letter smiles. Simon's deep, clear eyes also brimmed with tenderness and admiration. Only 24 years old, so young, so beautiful. After 4 years of university, she would only be 28, so what if she was divorced? In an era where women held up half the sky, the divorce wasn't her fault anyway. Having mentally prepared himself, Simon took a deep breath and mustered his courage. Ellie, are you staying at home tonight or going back to school? If it's convenient, I'll pick you up tomorrow morning. We can visit the park we used to explore as kids, and I can show you the university where I teach, okay? No longer subtle hints, but a clear declaration. The event she had been nervously anticipating all day had happened, becoming reality. Eleanor was flustered. You. Don't be nervous. Simon's face was already beet red, yet he managed to find the composure to reassure her. Ellie, I know these words are sudden for you right now, but they're words I've held in my heart for nearly 10 years and mulled over for more than a month. I wanted to tell you over the phone, but knowing you were coming back, I patiently waited until now. The reason I'm saying this now isn't to pressure you for an immediate answer. I just hope you'll give me a place in line in your heart. Considering we've known each other since childhood, know each other's backgrounds, could you give me a priority number? So I can have the first chance to show you my best self, let you see my truest feelings. Is that okay? Eleanor was still quite dazed. Taking a deep breath, she slowly regained her composure. Do you understand my situation? Do you know that I know everything? Simon quickly interrupted, knowing some things were too cruel to say aloud, another layer of pain for her. He didn't give her the chance to finish. I know that given my current situation, pursuing you again will present many challenges. But I still want to tell you seriously, I like you. Since you were 15, before you even left Seabrook City for the countryside, I liked you. He framed it as his challenge, not hers. He put the burden on himself while she, perhaps in his heart, she would always be that innocent young girl whose greatest joy was saving up to buy a small pastry to share with her best friend. Even though Eleanor hadn't entertained romantic thoughts and currently only wanted to focus on university, she was touched by Simon's warmth at that moment. Thank you, Simon. Tiny stars sparkled in Eleanor's eyes. She opened her mouth, about to say more. Suddenly, a powerful force shoved her and Simon apart. Then her slender, soft hand was seized possessively. Eleanor, you are my wife, the mother of our son. I forbid you, absolutely forbid you, from getting involved with other men so easily. Chapter 16. Gregory Ashton, who had been quite restrained during their first encounter, now, under the absolute pressure from another desirable man, revealed his arrogant and domineering side. But neither Eleanor nor Arthur Jr., Catherine nor Simon were buying his unreasonable behavior. Let go of my sister. Arthur Jr. forcibly separated them, shielding Eleanor behind him. Catherine also spread her arms, protectively enveloping Eleanor. Confirming Eleanor was safe, Simon's clenched fist finally flew out without restraint. Gregory's attention was entirely on Eleanor. He hadn't noticed the others. The blow sent him staggering back several steps. He was furious, but Simon gave him no time to recover. Fists rained down like a storm, one after another, landing relentlessly. Gregory, with his military background, was strong and skilled. However, Arthur Jr. and Simon shared the same goal and coordinated seamlessly. Furthermore, Arthur Jr. was his brother-in-law, someone he couldn't easily provoke. Caught in a pincer attack, Gregory suffered considerably, quickly beaten into a sorry state, barely managing to prop himself up against a wall. Eleanor, despite the pain racking his body, his restless eyes pierced past Catherine's protective stance, locking onto Eleanor. He demanded, angry and indignant, "Are you just going to stand there and watch them beat me? What else?" Eleanor raised an eyebrow lightly. "Call the police, have them arrested. Lock them up in confinement for 3 days and nights." The mention of confinement instantly extinguished Gregory's fiery anger like a punctured balloon. "Eleanor, I know you're still angry about that incident, angry about my ignorance. I admit I was wrong then. I shouldn't have condemned you without asking questions. Considering you suffered no substantial harm, and my apology is sincere, can you forgive me this once? Forgive me, come home with me, please," one offered. "Give me a priority number so I can have the first chance to show you my best self." The other demanded, "Forgive me, come home with me." Even his plea for reconciliation was rushed, commanding, expecting a simple verbal promise to easily bring her home without any effort on his part. The difference was stark. Eleanor suddenly couldn't tell if Gregory truly cared about her or not. If he didn't care, why travel thousands of miles to Seabrook City just to see her? Why stay meekly in Seabrook for so many days after being rejected, without leaving? If he did care, how could he possibly not understand what was truly on her mind, what she genuinely needed? Her heart churned, but the turmoil only manifested as a cold smile. "Gregory, have you forgotten? We are already divorced. And even if we weren't, that little house belongs solely to you. It's yours, earned through your military merit and honor. It's your property. I was merely living there temporarily thanks to my connection with you. What right do I have to leave and then just go back?" Gregory's heart stung. Chinese letter pain. You've really misunderstood, Eleanor. I never thought of you like that. In my heart, you've always been my wife, the woman I chose to spend my life with. I never changed my feelings for you because of anyone else. No one could, including Gregory Ashton. Eleanor's face turned cold, cutting him off. I don't want to hear Isabelle Moreau's name. I hope if you have any decency left, any shame, you'll exercise some restraint. Don't randomly bring up people who don't need to be mentioned. Even after all this time, she couldn't even bear to hear Isabelle's name. It seemed Isabelle's existence still bothered her. If it bothered her, it meant she cared. If she cared, believing Eleanor was hinting that if he didn't mention Isabelle, they could calmly talk things over, Gregory's heart leaped with joy. Okay, if you don't want her name mentioned, I won't say it. Just know that when you go back, she'll already be gone. She can never disturb you or affect our lives again, okay? Gone? What did that mean? Dead, or forced to leave like her? The woman he had once cherished so dearly, reduced to such a state in just a few days. Eleanor felt no vengeful satisfaction, only a sad empathy, like a fox grieving for a dead rabbit. I don't know if you're genuinely foolish or just pretending. I can only remind you that your appearance is what truly disrupts my life. If possible, I hope this is our last meeting, Gregory Ashton. Her cold, resolute attitude was hardly better than the other day. Fortunately, it wasn't his first time facing it. Gregory had grown accustomed to Eleanor's cold, unfeeling distance. How can this be our last meeting? Eleanor, I was thinking, once I'm familiar with Seabrook City, next time I'll bring Leo to visit you. Eleanor, you've been gone for so many days, you must miss Leo terribly, right? The day Leo found out you left, he fell seriously ill. He was in the hospital for 3 days before recovering. After getting better and learning about our situation, he was very sad and heartbroken. He told me I absolutely had to find you unharmed, tell you he really misses you too. Eleanor, I'm not lying. Both your son and I genuinely feel this way about you. We were just temporarily blinded before, didn't know our own hearts. So, can you, for the sake of our past happiness, give us one more chance? Let us make it up to you, cherish you, make you the happiest wife and mother in the world. Gregory cleverly concealed the fact that Leo's illness was due to his own negligence and freezing temperatures. He hoped to use Leo's pitiful state to appeal to Eleanor's maternal love, successfully gain her forgiveness, and bring her home. But Eleanor no longer loved them. She didn't want either father or son. How could there possibly be any love left in her heart? Since you insist on playing dumb, don't blame me for being blunt. She stepped back, aligning herself with Catherine, her pleading eyes looking first at Arthur Jr., then at Simon. Do you two still have any strength left? If you do, then please help me deal with this person once and for all. Beat him until he submits. Chapter 17, Eleanor, Gregory cried out, utterly betrayed, his handsome but bruised face filled with disbelief. Didn't you used to love me so much? Must you treat me this way? Won't you even give me a chance to explain or make amends? Eleanor waved her hand, stopping Simon, who was eager to jump in again the moment she spoke. Didn't you just say that was all in the past? Now I have university, family, and a man who cherishes and protects me like this. What couldn't I pursue? Why would I be so foolish as to repeat a marriage that was destined to be full of suffering? It's only been a few days, how is that the past? Gregory's trembling finger pointed straight at Simon. Eleanor, don't tell me you plan to accept this kid's confession. How long have you been gone? Do you even know him? Understand him? Does he know your specific situation? And do you know what his motives are for being with you? He spoke faster and faster, more and more urgently, not even realizing when his OWN Chinese letter thoughts were exposed. Eleanor smirked. Are you trying to say that because I was sent to the countryside, had a child, and got divorced, someone like me doesn't deserve genuine affection? That his quick confession must have ulterior motives, that he must be after something? Gregory froze, realizing he'd misspoken, and quickly tried to backtrack. Eleanor sniffed, and before he could speak again, her smile vanished. I don't know what you thought of me in the past. I only know you set a fine example. A childhood sweetheart must be a good person, absolutely incapable of bad intentions. Since you demonstrated it first, why can't I follow suit and give my childhood sweetheart a chance? After all, compared to you, I lack the shackles of marriage and a spouse, but I have the blessings of elders and family. It's just dating freely. What's wrong with trying it out, don't you think? Gregory's eyes widened abruptly. Simon couldn't hold back any longer. The sound of fists hitting flesh mingled with angry roars as he pummeled Gregory's already injured body, brutally translating the words just heard into physical attacks, targeting the wounds Gregory hadn't even had time to bandage. 1 punch, 2 punches, 3. Eleanor never intervened, just watched coldly, her aloof, disdainful expression making it seem as though he wasn't the husband she had shared a bed with for 6 years, but an unforgivable criminal. Gregory's faint hope for reconciliation completely extinguished. Are you really? No matter what I say, what I do, even if I willingly wait outside the university gate for you for 4 years. Unwilling to come home with me? The man who had always been proud and self-satisfied, when had he ever been so humble? Eleanor squinted, observing Gregory's bruised face through narrowed eyes. Suddenly, she could barely recall how dashing he had looked when they first met. He had been injured then, facing the risk of amputation, but apart from being slightly pale, his spirits had remained high, showing not a hint of distress or sorrow. A touch of melancholy, an indescribable sadness filled her. Eleanor lowered her gaze, pressing her lips together. Yes, it's impossible. No matter what you say or do, I can never return to that sea of suffering. Those simple words, they pierced Gregory's chest like sharp, pointed blades. His already aching chest hurt even more, but he had no strength to lick his wounds. He could only watch helplessly as Simon defiantly put his arm around Eleanor's shoulders, possessively yet courteously drawing her into his embrace. Commander Ashton, rest assured, I will do my best, give my all to bring Eleanor happiness and joy. I won't let the things you worry about happen again. Simon's promise was like a powerful force, driving the blade already lodged in Gregory's chest deeper. His heart felt like it was being torn apart, excruciatingly painful. 1,000 thoughts tangled chaotically in his mind, like seaweed tossed in a storm, rootless, directionless. Only when Eleanor, surrounded by her protectors, completely disappeared from his sight, so resolute she didn't even turn back, did Gregory clearly realize that on this day he had completely lost his wife, and his son had completely lost his mother. Eleanor. As he murmured her name, blood spurted out, staining the front of his shirt and the ground beneath his feet. Sir, are you all right? A passerby called out nervously. Eleanor, not far away, heard it and vaguely guessed what happened. Her steps remained steady. She did not turn back. It was over. From the moment she cleanly, righteously rejected Gregory Ashton, all entanglements between them were completely finished. From now on, whether he thrived or suffered, lived or died, had nothing to do with her. Her brisk steps continued until she was out of the department store and onto the street outside, where she finally stopped. Feeling the gradually softening sunset on her head, Eleanor hesitated before speaking. Do you think I seem very unfeeling, very cold? The next second, her cool, downcast hand was grasped tightly. A man's low, magnetic voice spoke close to her ear. By saying that, are you acknowledging me, caring about the first impression I make on you? Chapter 18. Under the warm yellow light of dusk, the man's dark eyes were clear and intent. Pressed by his extremely expectant and direct gaze, Eleanor Chinese letter. She had been hurt so badly by Gregory, had thought her life was set companionship, with medical books would suffice. She never imagined that so soon, she would, for a man she hadn't seen in 10 years, overturn her desire for a solitary life. Was this the destructive power of childhood sweethearts? Was this why Gregory had initially allowed Isabelle to do whatever she pleased, without complaint? For a moment, Eleanor felt it was impossible. She couldn't be like Gregory. Her lips moved, about to refuse, but the hand holding hers tightened. I know what you're thinking, and I know what I truly want. I don't care, Eleanor. Everything you're hesitant about, I don't care about at all. As long as, after I've walked 99 steps, you're willing to take the last step towards me, then we're set. Okay? Of course, even if I walk the 99 steps and you're still unwilling to take the last one, I won't blame you. It only proves I didn't perform well enough. It's my problem, nothing to do with you. You don't need to feel burdened, guilty, or apologetic because of it. If it was just trying, without a guaranteed outcome. If she was eventually going to start a new relationship, why not start now? Why wait? Why waste more time? It was true that she and Gregory only truly broke up when she left Southbridge. But in her heart, the moment Gregory forced her to give the Northwood City hospital position to Isabelle, they were finished. All that lacked was the final chance to escape. There were no ethical dilemmas. Eleanor wanted to follow her heart. This time, she just wanted to enjoy life properly, unlike when she was young, swept off her feet and rushing headlong into a marriage she didn't fully understand. "Okay, I promise you." Smiling in front of Arthur Jr. and Catherine, Eleanor accepted the plan to go on a date alone with Simon tomorrow, after which he would escort her back to school. Gregory refused the passerby's kind offer. Enduring the tearing pain throughout his body, he hobbled back to the department store entrance, just in time to see Eleanor being helped into the car under Simon's care. As the door closed, Simon inexplicably glanced his way, a triumphant smile gracing his features. Despicable, contemptible Gregory cursed inwardly, but no matter how angry or furious, he could only curse in his heart. He no longer even had the right to say another word to her face. Not wanting to go to the hospital and unable to swallow his pride enough to go, he dragged his battered body back to the guest house, step by trembling step. He lay in the guest house for nearly 10 days. His external injuries gradually healed, allowing him to move freely again. After a long, thorough shower, he took out his most presentable clothes from his luggage and went back to the university. Eleanor refused to see him. Even when he pleaded with the gatekeeper, saying he just wanted to pass some things to her, she still refused. Not forcing the issue, he followed the address on Eleanor's household registration and found the Vance home, facing Dr. Arthur Vance Sr. and Margaret Vance, the parents he should have met 6 years ago, but never had the chance. Meeting now without any familial ties, Gregory's legs buckled, and he knelt. He kowtowed 3 times sincerely, then took out the small package he hadn't been able to deliver at the university gate. "This is just a small token from me. It's savings accumulated during my marriage with Eleanor. Please, uncle, auntie, help me pass it to Eleanor. Just say it's my wedding gift for her and Simon Rockwell." Gregory bit out the words "wedding gift" heavily. They knew his intentions, but no one cared anymore. Towards this man who had hurt their daughter so deeply, not chasing him out with a broom was already a sign of patience and civility from Eleanor's parents. "Your sentiment, we've received it. However, the Vance family doesn't lack money. You don't need to give us money. Keep it for yourself, whether for raising your child or remarrying." In just a few short days, they could calmly mention remarriage to each other. Gregory's lips moved. He wanted to say he wouldn't marry again, never in this lifetime. But the elder Vances pointedly looked away, signaling he had no reason to stay. Whatever he said, they wouldn't take it to heart, certainly wouldn't listen seriously. A self-mocking smile touched Gregory's lips. He clutched the small package he had twice failed to deliver and left the Vance home crestfallen. Back at the temporary guest house, the phone rang. It was a call from the garrison. "Commander Ashton, your son is sick again, seriously ill. The doctor says he needs to be hospitalized as soon as possible. Commander, if you don't have other urgent matters, please return quickly." Eleanor being lovey-dovey with another man, how could that not be urgent? Gregory had no choice. That was his child after all, his and Eleanor's shared child. If something happened to the child, he and Eleanor. Forget reconciliation, they might never even have the chance to meet and ask how the other was doing in this lifetime. Chapter 19, just as quietly and silently as he arrived, Gregory departed. He sat on the train for a day and a night without eating or drinking. When he arrived back in Southbridge, the subordinate who came to pick him up sighed at his utterly defeated appearance. "Commander, pull yourself together. Dr. Vance isn't here now. Leo only has you." Gregory remained silent, letting his subordinate drive him to the hospital. In the hospital, he saw Leo, whom he hadn't seen for over half a month. Compared to when he left, Leo looked much more Chinese letter, his face pale, and his small frame noticeably thinner. As a father, Gregory still felt a pang of heartache. His unfocused eyes finally found some light. "What happened? Wasn't he fine when I left? How did it get so serious?" Leo's dry, chapped lips moved, but he didn't speak. The subordinate standing nearby spoke for him. "Commander, when you took leave to go to Seabrook City, Leo had only recovered from the fever, not fully healed. 3 days after you left, Leo caught a cold and developed a fever again. At the time, the base hospital gave him medicine, and it subsided. But a couple of days later, the fever returned. This happened twice. The base hospital didn't dare treat him anymore, saying the situation might have worsened and advised us to bring him to a larger hospital for a detailed checkup. That's when they diagnosed pneumonia. The recurring fever was because the inflammation wasn't completely treated and his immunity dropped, causing it to flare up again. Pneumonia. That was indeed serious. Gregory pressed his thin lips together tightly, suddenly feeling like a complete failure. Towards Eleanor, he hadn't fulfilled his duties as a husband. Towards Leo, he hadn't fulfilled his duties as a father. His career had stalled, his family was shattered. Having lived nearly 30 years, what exactly was he good at? His emotions were incredibly complex, but there was no room for brooding. The child needed his care. This care lasted for a full half-month. After half a month of ups and downs, the inflammation in Leo's lungs finally cleared completely, and he could be discharged. Looking at his son, who had regained his vitality, Gregory's heart, numb for nearly a month, found a small measure of comfort. "Is there anything you want?" Unable to make amends to Eleanor, he could only choose to compensate Leo, hoping to soothe his own conscience by cherishing her bloodline. Who knew Leo's next words would instantly agitate his recently calmed heart? "I want Mommy. Daddy, can you take me to see Mommy?" A lump formed in Gregory's throat. He wanted to refuse outright, but looking at the child's expectant eyes, his round, large eyes on his thin little face, he ultimately couldn't bring himself to be harsh. "First, eat well and get your strength back. Once you gain back the weight you lost, back to the 48 pounds you were when your mother left, I'll take you to Seabrook City to see her, okay?" 6 months later. After half a year of relentless training day and night, Gregory, having finally regained some of his former spirit, took Leo, who had gained a few pounds and looked much healthier, back to Seabrook City. Sitting on the bus heading towards Seabrook University, Gregory felt apprehensive. He wasn't sure if, after half a year, Eleanor's emotions would have calmed down, or if seeing him again would evoke the same extreme reaction, the same disgust as before. Perhaps not, he thought. After all, this time he brought Leo with him. For their son's sake, she should at least grant him the time for a cup of tea. Lost in thought, the bus arrived at Seabrook University. Holding his son's hand, Gregory walked the few steps to the familiar gatehouse. Just as he was about to fill out the entry form, he heard a sudden commotion. Instinctively looking towards the sound, he saw a large group wearing white lab coats, mouths moving animatedly in intense discussion, walking quickly towards the gate. The person leading the group was older, perhaps in his 50s, and carried an air of authority. Eleanor Vance walked beside him. Her face was so young, yet her presence wasn't overshadowed in the slightest. The way she spoke eloquently and confidently was both fresh and dynamic. Chapter 20. It had been 7 whole months since the divorce. The initial intensity should have faded. But seeing Eleanor again, seeing this Eleanor, Gregory still felt an uncontrollable surge of pride in her excellence. So, she had been right. She hadn't exaggerated her potential. Divorced from him, she had her studies, her family, her lover. She possessed an entire boundless ocean and sky. And he, who claimed to love her, could only offer a small world, a narrow space that confined her abilities and talent. Gregory suddenly felt ashamed, momentarily forgetting the purpose of his visit, just standing there silently. Only after a long while, when Eleanor's figure became blurry in the distance, did Leo, standing beside him, gently tug his sleeve and whisper in awe, "Is that really Mommy? When did Mommy become so amazing? Daddy, were you like the cowherd in the comic books? Did you hide Mommy's fairy clothes so she couldn't fly away?" Cowherd, fairy? Gregory froze. The long-held resentment finally found release. Yes, if this was truly what Eleanor wanted, then he should just let her be. Why did he have to be so persistent, torturing himself with training far beyond his body's limits, hoping she would see his excellence? They were divorced. Whether he was excellent or not had nothing to do with her. What she wanted, from beginning to end, was simply to become an outstanding, capable doctor. He was just an interlude on her path to medicine. Their first meeting, his injury it proved her medical skills, helped her find her path in remote Southbridge. Now that she had finally obtained everything she truly desired, he should gracefully step aside, no longer disturb her. Why cling stubbornly to the question of who stood beside her? Tears blurred his vision without him realizing. Gregory wiped them away, then looked down and gently stroked Leo's head. "Do you still want to go over, say a few words to your mother?" Leo thought seriously for a moment, then shook his head decisively. "No, not right now. Some things are better said when I'm older, when I'm as outstanding as Mommy. I'll tell her myself then." 12 years later. Leo Ashton, now 18, was admitted to the top-tier Seabrook University with outstanding scores. A native of Northwood City, with the privileged background of the established Ashton family, yet he chose to abandon Northwood City, where he had lived for nearly 10 years, for the unfamiliar Seabrook City. Countless friends and relatives were perplexed. Only his father, who had lost a leg protecting comrades on the battlefield 10 years prior, supported his decision. Go with confidence. Weren't there many things you wanted to say to your mother? Go and say everything you want. Just one thing, don't mention my situation. Carrying the hopes of both father and son, Leo arrived in Seabrook City, which he had last visited 12 years ago, with simple luggage. Having not seen her for so many years, he thought he might need some effort to find his mother. But who knew, just after entering the university gates, he saw a familiar photograph on the honor roll board near the entrance. It was his mother, as gentle and strong, young and beautiful as 12 years ago. Leo subconsciously stopped, studying the picture carefully. Noticing his action, a few passing students also paused. "Hey, did you hear? Dean Vance's team has cracked another medical challenge." She started participating in projects during university, stayed on faculty smoothly after graduation, and climbed to the position of dean in just a few short years. Dean Vance's resume is truly impressive. She was born for medicine. Dean Vance comes from a medical family, didn't you know? Her whole family are doctors. Plenty of families call themselves medical dynasties, but how many can achieve what Dean Vance has? Haven't you heard? Because Dean Vance has continuously overcome medical challenges, bringing significant leaps in medical development, the higher-ups plan to nominate her for academician selection next year. A 35-year-old academician. Heavens, for anyone else, it would be impossible. But she's Dean Vance, the exceptionally talented, seemingly omnipotent Dean Vance. The topic of discussion was so stunning that more people joined in. Gradually, a large crowd gathered around the small honor roll board, several layers deep. Leo stood enveloped in the center of the crowd, firmly holding the prime spot beneath the board. He looked up at the photograph, bathed in sunlight, looking increasingly gentle and warm. Suddenly, his lips curved into a smile. Who would have thought that the incredibly accomplished Dean Vance was his mother, the mother who had birthed him and raised him until he was 6? Who could have imagined that the already formidable local Seabrook City medical dynasty, the Vance family, would gain another powerful member from Northwood City, bringing northern experience and credentials? Thinking that soon, his mother might read out his name in class, Leo felt a surge of pride. The same pride he felt 12 years ago, as a small boy holding his father's hand, standing surprised and awestruck outside Seabrook University. Exactly the same pride, incomparable to any amount of gold, silver, or worldly riches.